Jadip is back at it here to give everyone my final Breaking Bad Season 4 episode reaction video. Before I get into that though, huge spoilers ahead if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not entirely sure, then you strongly need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode title, which of course I'll put in the description for you. If that happens to be the case and you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. This is my favorite episode of Breaking Bad at the moment. It has been. Maybe it will change, but as of this moment, this is my favorite episode of Breaking Bad of all time. This is going to be Breaking Bad Season 4, episode number 13. The title of this episode is called Face Off. This will be my reaction review recap after just watching the episode again. After failing to kill Gus via a car bomb, Walt removes the bomb and asks Jesse if he knows of a place where Gus frequents that does not have security cameras. Now, before Jesse can think of one, he's approached by a couple detectives and taken to the police station, where they proceed to question him about Brock's poisoning because he gave a specific poison, the ricin. Now, Saul has gone into hiding, so Walt breaks into his office for his help, where Saul's secretary, Francesca, asked for $25,000 in exchange for Saul's current contact information. Walt goes home to retrieve the cash, but suspects hitmen may be waiting for him. Now, after asking his neighbor to check on his house, he spots two men fleeing from the backyard, confirming his suspicions. Walt retrieves the money before the hitmen can spot him, as they actually came back shortly after he got back into the house. Now, Jesse is interrogated about the ricin, but he claims it was a lucky guess, having been contacted by Walt. Saul finally arrives. Jesse tells Saul that Gus often visits Hector Salamanca to taunt him, which Saul relays to Walt. Now, upon learning that Gus and Hector are longtime enemies, Walt visits Hector and offers him a chance to kill Gus and essentially get even. Hector, what he does is Walt instructs him to contact the DEA and assist upon meeting directly or talking directly with Hank or to Hank. But at the meeting, Hector just curses at Hank through his interpreter and is quickly returned to the nursing home. Now, Tyrus observes Hector's arrival at the DEA, assumes he is turning informant, and phones Gus, who decides to kill Hector, and just as Walt anticipated. Smart plan by Walt. Now, Tyrus does inspect Hector's room for anything suspicious, but finds it safe for Gus to visit. Now, failing to spot Walt just outside, where this one lady kept going, hi, hello, or whatever it was. And meanwhile, Jesse is eventually released from police custody after Brock's diagnosis reveals that he was not poisoned by ricin. And then he is immediately kidnapped by Gus's thugs and brought to the lab to cook the next batch of meth. And then Gus enters Hector's room and berates him for supposedly being a coward and asks Hector to finally look at him, which is something Hector has always refused to do during Gus's taunting visits. Now, as Gus prepares to inject Hector with a syringe of poison, Hector finally looks at him for the first time in years, first remorsefully and then with rage in his eyes, before repeatedly ringing his bell. And then Gus and Tyrus are initially confused, but Gus then realizes that the bell is connected to a bomb that has been fitted under Hector's wheelchair. The explosion instantly kills Hector and Tyrus. Now, Gus actually steps out of the room, straightens his tie, and appears to have survived the blast. However, the camera goes to the other side of his face, and it shows severe burns on his right side. Like, oh, his whole face is like half not even there, really, to be honest with you. He looks like Two-Face from the Batman series. More of like the cartoon Two-Face, to be honest with you. So, and then after that, a brief moment of fixing his tie, Gus collapses and dies from the injuries of the blast. And then Walt hears the news of the explosion on the radio and is relieved that his plan has worked. And then he heads to the lab, kills Gus's two henchmen stationed there, and then frees Jesse, knowing that Hank is closing in on the lab. Jesse and Walt burn it down. They burn the shit out of that lab and the 2 bodies that were in there. And then later, Jesse tells Walt that Brock will live, and he was poisoned by Lily of the Valley berries, which children sometimes eat because of their sweet tastes. Although Jesse questions killing Gus, since Gus never poisoned Brock after all, Walt assures him that it had to be done. And then Walt calls Skyler, who, along with the rest of the family, is learning of the explosion from the news. Skyler asks Walt if he had caused the explosion and what happened, to which Walt replies that, well, first he tells her, we're safe. And then she's like, was this you, Walt? What did you do? And he's like, I won. And then the season ends with the shot of Walt's backyard, which, as they zoom in on the planet. I did not notice this. I had completely missed this in previous watchings of Breaking Bad, which I've watched this series probably 6 or 7 times at least. In the previous episode, Walt's spinning that gun around, and the gun eventually points the other direction instead of at Walt. Well, they zoom in on this plant, and the plant is, of course, the Lily of the Valley in there. So Walt somehow, some way poisoned Brock to manipulate Jesse and crazy stuff. And of course, that's how the season ended, like I mentioned. So I love this episode. It's a perfect episode. It's a little slow, but the build up is so good. Gus was such a villain, or such a good villain, I should say, and he was just so in the last few episodes, you've seen Gus really be crazy and like a legit badass, and Walt is the one that gets to him, and Walt's the one that takes him out. We didn't get Mike in this episode, which I'm a little disappointed about, but doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. This episode is a 10 out of 10, and the character of the episode is going to be Walt. Walt killed Gus, and that is quite an accomplishment. Just the part where he goes, I won. And it's just an amazing episode. If you have an issue with this episode, please explain yourself. So you've heard what I have to say. Of course, like I mentioned, it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, which I know you are, everybody likes Breaking Bad, especially that keeps watching the series, make sure you smash the like button. Share the video with anybody that would be interested. Sound off in the comment section about your thoughts on Face Off, your score of the episode, your character of the episode, or if you just want to talk about your favorite characters and favorite episodes, whatever you want to talk about, anything, I'll respond to any and all comments. And of course, last but certainly not least, I definitely want to grow this channel. So don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.